Live from the VIP lounge of the Emirates Stadium, tonight's special guest, Arsenal's newest midfield maestro, the conductor himself, Martin Zubimendi. Welcome to the Late Kickoff with Jim Martin.
Good evening, Gooners. Welcome to the Late Kickoff. I'm your host, Jim Martin. And this is the show that talks about Arsenal not just when we're flying, but when we need to take a hard look at ourselves. And tonight, we need to do just that and talk about Arsenal's handling of the Thomas Partey affair. A few days ago, Partey was charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault involving 3 different alleged survivors. The club issued a brief statement, saying they can't comment while the matter is before the courts. But the silence didn't start this month. It started 3 years ago. There was no public acknowledgement from the club, even as Partey played regularly throughout that time. And fans weren't oblivious, especially this last season. At the Emirates, opposition fans booed him every time he touched the ball. Away from home, it was the same. Everyone knew what was going on, and the club said nothing. Then, in spring 2025, reports surfaced that Arsenal wanted to extend Partey's contract. His current deal was expiring this June. Even with everything they knew, the allegations, the investigation, the public backlash, Arsenal still considered keeping him. That wasn't caution. That was willful detachment. Now, let's be fair. UK law protected the accused's identity during the investigation. And under the law, Partey is entitled to a presumption of innocence. This is presumably a case built on testimony, not physical evidence. And the burden of proof in a criminal court is beyond a reasonable doubt. If Partey is innocent, then the damage to his life and his family and his reputation is massive. And that deserves empathy. But none of that explains the choices Arsenal made. Advocacy groups demand football clubs establish clear guidelines in these situations and suspend suspected players without pay. Arsenal could have done something. They could have said something. They could have lived their values. Instead, Arsenal chose silence. Silence while the fans whistled. Silence while survivors watched. Silence while the club negotiated. This is a club that claims to represent class, tradition, and integrity. But this wasn't classy. It was evasion. I love this club, and I always will, but you don't love something by excusing everything it does. You love it by demanding better. And Arsenal should have been better. If you're a survivor, regardless of whether you're a football fan or not, everyone at the Late Kickoff sees you. You deserve more than silence and inaction. Now, let's talk football. There are good news. Martin Zubimendi is finally a gunner. The Basque midfield general, smooth under pressure, sharp in the pass, and cool as a surgeon in a crisis. He reads the pitch like a chessboard and moves like he's allergic to panic. He's not just a player, he's a strategy. And on the women's side, Chloe Kelly and Taylor Hines are back. 2 academy grads, one left to win silverware, the other to get minutes. And now both return to the club with a plan. This isn't nostalgia. This is business. The business of winning trophies. And speaking of business, all signs point to Victor Gyökeres. And if that goes through, I'm in. He's in his prime. He's lethal. He's primal. He scored more goals than everyone else in Europe last season. This is the kind of striker that makes defenders look like they're buffering. And there's another new face in red and white. Christian Nørgaard. After years of holding Brentford together like a one-man tactical glue stick, he's finally got his move. In his first interview, he said something that stuck with me. He admitted that part of him had given up on ever playing in the Champions League, that he thought maybe the dream had passed him by. But joining Arsenal, it brought it back. He talked about what it would feel like to stand there, hear the Champions League anthem, and let it wash over him, like a childhood dream rekindled in the twilight of a career. And I thought, that's why this matters. Not just for stats, trophies, or transfers, but for what it means to the people who live this game. Finally, we have very sad news, especially in my family. Odin's football hero, Takehiro Tomiyasu, has left Arsenal. The club said they'd reached a mutual agreement to terminate his contract. As far as I know, Tomi didn't issue a statement. He's only 26. But years of injuries took their toll, and while Arsenal once extended Santi Cazorla's and Mohamed Elneny's contracts while they were injured to give them the support and the time to recover, Tomi didn't get that. Which might tell you everything. Odin hasn't taken it well. He's been sitting in his room, hugging a signed Tomiyasu shirt like he used to embrace his mother after scraping his knee. His Tomiyasu Funko Pop didn't survive. Tomi was his first footballing hero. A quiet, two-footed, always reliable when fit defender from Fukuoka. A player who never chased attention, only respect. And he left with more grace than most players do with a documentary. We'll miss you, Tomi. All right, we've got a fabulous show tonight. Next, we get a software update from the smallest Arsenal fans with the biggest microphones. My kids, Odin and Ella, take the news desk. Later, my wife Ingrid and I will be joined for group therapy by two avid gooners, Amina Clarke, a survivor and social worker that counsels survivors of sexual abuse and domestic violence, and T.C. Dyer, once accused, charged, and acquitted of rape, now a football coach that works with at-risk youth, to have a serious discussion of Arsenal's role in the Thomas Partey affair. Later in the show, Ella and Odin sit down with our newest conductor, Martin Zubimendi, to get to know him as a person a little better, and to rub it in to Liverpool fans. Na 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 na, hey hey hey, have a good cry. So let's kick it over to Odin and Ella. It's time for the Arsenal news update.
Good evening and welcome to the Arsenal News Update. I'm Odin Martin Yoon.
Hi, and I'm Ella Martin Yoon, and we are serious journalists.
Yeah!
Guy, thanks.
Our top story tonight. Takehiro Tomiyasu and Arsenal have agreed to end his contract. It's really hard to say, but it looks like he won't be playing football again.
Oh, Odin, are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. I wore my Tomiyasu shirt to bed for 3 nights in a row.
And he cried into his cereal.
I didn't cry into it. I cried next to it.
Sure, the milk said otherwise.
Moving on, Arsenal have announced a new goalkeeper, Kepa Arrizabalaga. He used to play for Chelsea and Real Madrid.
Wait, didn't he get in trouble once for refusing to be subbed off?
Yeah, but now that Kepa is our player, this shows how committed he is to the cause. And he saves penalties. Sometimes.
So do I. In video games.
The club also officially unveiled Martin Zubimendi. He's calm, smart, and says that he came to Arsenal to play football and win trophies.
So he's the guy who tells everyone where to stand, like you do when we play Lego football together.
That's called tactics, Ella. Tactics.
It's called being bossy.
In other news, Arsenal wants to sign Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace. He and the club already agreed to terms, but Arsenal haven't talked to Palace yet.
It's like writing your Christmas letter to Santa and forgetting to tell your parents.
Haha, exactly. Speaking of gifts, Victor Gyökeres is almost an Arsenal player. Fabrizio Romano says it's nearly a here we go.
That's the football version of Are We There Yet?
New star boy Ethan Winery might not sign a new contract unless he gets guaranteed playing time.
He's 18. I'm 7. Why don't I get guaranteed snack time in my contract?
Because you hide the gummy worms in your pencil case. Then you forget. What a mess.
Allegedly.
Next up, Arsenal might try to sign Noni Madueke from Chelsea. I know.
Why do we keep going shopping at Chelsea? There are no bargains and the quality's doo-doo water.
For sure. And no one seems very excited about this one.
Except maybe Chelsea.
In better news, Chloe Kelly, who just won the Champions League while on loan with us, and Taylor Hyans are joining Arsenal Women. They both used to play in our academy as kids.
Like a superhero origin story, but with Captain Britain shin guards.
Also, Arsenal's first 5 Premier League games are super tough. It's like they gave us hard mode.
It's okay, we believe in Arteta, and if things go wrong, we have snacks. Lots of snacks.
Finally, the players are back at training and the friendlies start soon. Arsenal posted a video asking the players who they looked forward to seeing. But only Ben White had the courage to be honest when he said, "Win the dog."
Win's my favorite player, to be honest.
This has been your Arsenal news update.
Come back next week when we find out if Victor signs, if Winery stays, and if Odin finally stops crying about Tomiyasu.
I'm not crying. I'm moisturizing my cheeks, like Dad does with his fancy facial balm. Good night, everyone.
This is group therapy. Thomas Partey has now been formally charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault, involving 3 different alleged survivors. The alleged incidents happened during his time at Arsenal. After a 3-year investigation, he's now scheduled to appear in court this August.
He's denied all the charges. And it's worth saying, for most of that time he wasn't prosecuted, he was being investigated. And that matters. Arsenal had a player under investigation, not a player convicted of anything.
Sure. But let's not pretend Arsenal didn't know. They knew well enough when they tried renewing his contract earlier this year. While these allegations were still unresolved, that's unbelievable.
That broke me. I've been going to Arsenal games since I was 6. My dad used to lift me over the turnstiles at Highbury. After I was raped, going to watch Arsenal gave me a few hours where I could get away from blaming myself, from all the pain. Now I work with survivors of rape and domestic violence every single day. And I watched my club, our club, say nothing for 3 years. And then they almost gave Partey a new deal.
I hear you, I do. But I also went through the system. I was charged with sexual assault when I was 22. My university girlfriend lied to the police because I had fallen in love with a co-worker. Went to trial, acquitted. Didn't matter. I lost 4 years of my life, my job, most of my friends. I had no romantic relationships. It's easy to say the silence hurts survivors, and I believe that. But trust me, silence can protect innocent people too.
But TC, Partey wasn't hidden from the public. He was playing most games, At the Emirates, opposition fans whistled every time he touched the ball. On the road, he got booed like he was already guilty. So the silence didn't protect him. It isolated everyone. Survivors, fans, players.
And yet Arsenal had to act within the law. They couldn't suspend him without risking a wrongful dismissal lawsuit. And anything they said publicly could have jeopardized the case. Sometimes silence isn't avoidance. It's respect for the rule of law.
But what message does that respect send? Young girls and boys wear Partey's name on their backs. Kids look up to him. He's not just a midfielder, he's a symbol. And when Arsenal talks about no more red, but says nothing when real violence is alleged, that isn't respect. That feels like betrayal.
If we start punishing people before a verdict, what does that say about us as a society? Do we want to live in the world of the purge? Due process is important because innocent people are accused of crimes too. And historically, in this country, black men are accused of crime more than any other race, even though studies consistently show crime is committed by people of all races at roughly the same rate. Look, I know the system's flawed, but it was built by voters, by laws, in a democracy. That carries weight too, even if it's uncomfortable.
But that system took 3 years to file charges. That doesn't inspire confidence. And let's be honest, Partey just kept playing. Arsenal could have suspended him with pay, or Arsenal could have come to an agreement to pay out his contract. The club have done it with other players for far less serious reasons. This felt calculated.
They calculated how to stay within the bounds of the law. The standard Premier League contract, which has been negotiated by the clubs and the Players Guild, only allows for a 2-week suspension with pay. Again, Partey hasn't been convicted of anything yet. As a lawyer, I can tell you that suspending Partey would have sent the message that Arsenal thought he was guilty. And remember, the legal standard isn't a gut feeling, or the situation makes me feel uncomfortable. Partey is presumed innocent. Look, I don't know what the actual evidence is. Nobody knows the evidence other than the government. Presumption of innocence means that nothing that we have heard or read, even the charges themselves, are evidence of the crimes. And then there's the legal standard to convict. It's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. This means that the evidence is so strong that it leaves each juror with an abiding conviction that the charges are true. In other words, the evidence has to be so strong that Partey is guilty, that the jury doesn't only believe it when the trial ends, but based on that same evidence, each juror would still believe Partey is guilty looking back in 10 years' time. That's how long an abiding conviction lasts. That's not a low bar.
And yet so few survivors ever see justice. The system you're defending, it fails us, often, repeatedly. So when Arsenal hides behind that system to protect its brand, survivors hear one thing loud and clear: you don't matter.
And when Arsenal says nothing, people like me get flattened too. I coach teenage boys now. Some of them know what I went through. They ask me, "Coach, if someone lies about you, does anyone care?" I don't always have an answer, but I know this: if we throw out due process for public opinion, it's not justice, it's vengeance. And hasn't our society's concept of justice moved past that?
So, what's left? Because when a club says it stands for something but goes quiet when it's hard, fans notice, especially women, especially survivors. And the silence doesn't feel neutral. It feels like proof that values are just marketing.
I don't think that's fair. Arsenal didn't issue slogans instead of ethics. They did what they could within the system. And if the system is flawed, it's because that's the result of compromise between different interests from voters. Arsenal didn't promise to pick sides. They promised to follow the law. And Arsenal did.
But law isn't the same as moral leadership. They could have said, "We're aware, we're listening, we care." Let the fans know that the club we love understands our pain. Instead, they let the silence speak for them. It screamed indifference.
I was a midfielder growing up. Back before everything, I wore Partey shirt too. Now I see kids wearing it and I wonder, do they know what it means? Do they know what he's carrying, what we're all carrying?
I can see now that there's no perfect answer. But doing nothing for 3 years felt like a decision. And in moments like this, fans don't want PR strategies. They want to know their club sees them. All of them.
And sometimes seeing means waiting, respecting the system, resisting the urge to rush to judgment, even when judgment feels right.
I've been the accused, I've been the outsider, but I still believe in fairness, even if it's slow, even if it hurts.
And I've been the survivor. I still believe in love and in Arsenal. But if we can't name pain, we can't heal it.
Folks, we have Martin Zubimendi, Arsenal's new midfield mastermind. Calm under pressure, silent destroyer, tactical brainiac.
But what's he like off the pitch? Does he eat gummy worms? Does he listen to death metal? Does he read poetry in the bathtub?
What bathtub?
Let's find out in the most important interview of his life, probably.
Hi, Zubi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Hi, Zubi. I know group therapy was pretty heavy.
Hi, Ella. No, in a relationship, it's important to talk about the heavy things. That's how the relationship stays healthy.
Yeah. Okay, Zubi, serious question. Is it true you play chess?
Yes, I've played since I was a kid. My grandfather taught me. I actually won the San Sebastian Under-12 tournament when I was 11.
Wait, what? So you're officially a chess champion?
Just once. But it stuck with me. Chess taught me to stay calm, read patterns, and think 2 moves ahead, which, as a defensive midfielder, is everything.
So football is like human chess?
Exactly. The ball's the queen, the wingers are bishops. And me? I'm the pivot. The one trying to control the board without being flashy. I move quietly, but if I mess up, we're exposed.
That's so true. I just realized I've been playing FIFA like it's Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Honestly, that explains a lot.
It's okay, you just need a better formation.
All right, Zubi, let's find out your deepest, most private thoughts. Top 3 music albums?
That's a tough one, but I'd say Bad Loving by Rosalia. It's experimental, it's powerful, and it reminds me of both tradition and reinvention. Abbey Road by the Beatles. My dad used to play it on Sunday mornings, so it feels like home. Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. That one helps me slow down and breathe after matches. It's like jazz meditation.
He listens to Miles Davis after games. That's elegant.
Meanwhile, I listen to Eye of the Tiger before math quizzes.
Okay, 3 deserted island movies.
The Intouchables. It's hilarious and deeply human. What a friendship. I've watched it many times. Amelie. I love the colors, the music, the charm. Whiplash. That film is intensity, obsession, perfection. I see some of that in football too.
I knew he'd pick something deep. You can't be that calm on the pitch and not love Amelie.
I love Whiplash, except for the part where I stop breathing for 10 minutes. Oh, and the movie adds another layer to your Arsenal reveal video.
You're stuck on an away day, with no phone and no FC25. Which 3 books?
The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. It's haunting and beautiful. That book made me want to visit Barcelona for myself. Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. Big picture stuff. It helps put wins and losses in perspective. The Catcher in the Rye. I read it when I was 17. It felt like Holden was arguing with the whole world, and I understood that.
Okay, that answer was too good. He's now officially the smartest guy on the team.
Smart and humble. I'm suspicious.
Do you game?
A little, yes. FC 25, of course, but I never play as myself. The Witcher 3, amazing world, complex characters, tough choices. Civilization 6, strategy, patience, long-term planning. Kind of like playing as a number 6, to be honest.
Okay, wow. Comparing Civ 6 to defensive midfield is peak. Big up, Zuby!
Also, he doesn't play as himself in FC 25. That's either very zen or very weird.
Favorite artist?
Eduardo Chillida, his sculptures are part of San Sebastian's soul. They're heavy and still somehow full of space. Juan Ramon Jimenez. There's a quiet rhythm in his poetry that reminds me of passing the ball in football. Platero and I is deeply meaningful to me. Cristina Garcia Rodero. Her photographs tell you whole stories in one frame.
I like how he talks about art like it's football.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I made a mailbox and told my teacher it was a sculpture last semester. Zuby, but if you like Platero and I, then Kai Havertz is your man. He has a donkey sanctuary.
Really, that's so cool. I'll talk to Kai when I see him.
Favorite comfort food?
Chuleta con patatas y pimientos de padrón. A perfectly grilled Basque steak, fries, and those little peppers, where 1 in 10 is secretly very spicy. It's simple. It transports me to my grandmother's kitchen.
The roulette of spicy peppers, respect.
I once got the super spicy Takis and thought I was going to meet my ancestors.
Ultimate thing about the San Sebastian fiestas?
The tamborada. The drums start at midnight, and they never stop, and the pinchos, tiny bites, each one perfect. You walk from bar to bar, tasting everything. It's the happiest chaos imaginable.
We have that in our house too. It's called snacking while avoiding chores.
I want to go just for the pinchos and the chaos.
Last one, say something to Arsenal fans watching tonight.
I'm here to give everything. For you, for the club, and for the glory ahead. Finishing second is a thing of the past.
That's it. He's in.
Give this man a mug, a match day playlist, and a plate of those peppers.
Everyone, that's Martin Zubimendi, chess player, bookworm, pincho expert.
He's officially the most interesting man in midfield.
And now he's ours. Arsenal's very own Queen's Gambit.
You mean King's Pivot?
Even better.
Next, let's meet for a game of worst case scenario.
This is Worst Case Scenario, the game show where the worse you do, the more points you score. Tonight's theme, first days. Whether it's your first day at school, first day in a new job, or your first day in London and you ask for directions in Spanish. Tonight, we're embracing the awkward, the cringeworthy, and the catastrophic. Personally, I remember my first day as a stand-up comic after 20 years as an appellate attorney. I opened with a joke about Miranda rights. The entire audience exercised their right to remain silent. And I closed with a quiet panic attack in a Chili's parking lot. True story. Let's meet our players. On the red team, she brings the receipts, the reason, and the earrings. Ingrid Yoon.
My first day in court, I accidentally called the judge Mom. To be fair, she was also a small Korean woman with funky purple glasses.
Next up, the 11-year-old who once cross-examined a substitute teacher. Odin Martin Yoon.
First day at my new school, my very old teacher called me Odin. I told her my name was Odin. The next day, she still called me Odin. I've since filed a formal grievance with HR.
And finally, the 7-year-old with the most dangerous mind on the show. Ella Martin Yoon.
First day of second grade, I found out the school doesn't serve French fries. I started a petition, got every kid in school to sign, even the cafeteria ladies and the janitors. We now have French Fry Fridays. Democracy works.
Now for the yellow team. First up, new Arsenal signing and tactical mastermind, Martin Zubimendi.
My first day at Arsenal training, I passed the ball to a mannequin. I was so embarrassed. But to be fair, it had better positioning than Mustafi.
Next, she's a social worker. Arsenal diehard and far too composed to be on this show, Amina Clarke.
My first day on the job, a client told me I looked too young to help anyone. I told him healing doesn't come with wrinkles.
And finally, youth coach, mentor, and occasional truth bomb, T.C. Dyer.
First day out after trial, I walked into a pub and someone handed me a flyer for jury duty. I laughed. I kept the flyer, still got it framed in the loo.
All right, teams. First round, I'll give you a first day situation. You give me the worst case scenario. Make it awful, make it real, make it funny. Let's begin. Red team. It's your first day of school. What's the worst thing that could happen? Odin?
You go to school wearing your Arsenal kit. Everyone else supports Chelsea, even the teacher. During lunch, they make you sit in the hallway next to a cardboard cutout of John Terry.
That's cruel and educational. 5 points. Ingrid?
On day 1 in 3rd grade, you raise your hand to correct the teacher, and she says, "Oh, good. We've got a lawyer already. Just what the world needs."
Off. 6 points. That one had layers. Ella?
You raise your hand to answer the first question and accidentally fart. Kids call you Gas Ella for the rest of the week.
Legend status. 10 points. Yellow team, it's your first day at a new job. What's the worst thing that could happen? Zuby.
You walk into the dressing room and sit in Arteta's chair. You don't know it's his. Until he comes in, stares into your soul, making you feel tiny, and says, "That's where I sit when my tummy is on fire."
8 points. And now I want that embroidered on a throw pillow. Amina?
You give a motivational speech to your new team, only to find out you've been referred to HR, and they think you're here to fire everyone.
Efficiency through terror? 7 points. TC.
You show up early, wear your best suit, shake every hand. And at lunch they say, "Oh, we thought you were the new security guard."
10 points. That one hit. After round 1, it's red team, 21 points. Yellow team, 24 points. Remember, a higher score means worse performance. In this game, failure is victory. Last round, 30 seconds. 1 sentence answers. Theme: your first day in a new city. Ingrid?
Lost my luggage, kept my blazer, and conducted a deposition in flip-flops.
Zuby?
Had a chocolate craving, went for dessert, then ordered brown pudding, and I licked the bowl twice.
Odin?
Tube map was upside down, ended up in Watford, and I cried and cursed the whole way home.
Amina?
Believed Enfield was peaceful, but turned out my partner and I moved in during a Spurs match day.
Ella?
Thought Big Ben was a person. Asked for a selfie.
TC?
Got followed in a shop again, bought something expensive again.
And that's the worst case scenario. Here, the losers are the winners, and the winners are emotionally scarred. And everyone learned that no first day is as bad as your second one, if you keep showing up. Coming up next, the final word with Ingrid, followed by Odin's ode, in which I'm told he plans to rhyme the word Zubimendi with Existentially. Good luck with that.
When I was a little girl, I watched my mother survive domestic violence. She never talked about it. But I felt it, in the way she held herself. She stayed quiet to hold our family together. It shaped how I saw the world. And maybe taught me to stay quiet too. Maybe that's why I defended Arsenal's silence. Because I thought being careful was the same as being strong. After listening to everyone tonight, I've come to realize that strength also means speaking up, especially when people are hurting. Arsenal followed the law. I understand that. Now I wish they'd said something, even just, "We hear you. We care." Because when you love something like this club, you want it to be better. And I still believe it can be. Good night, Gooners. Be kind, be funny, and come back stronger.
Hi again. Thanks to Ella, everyone knows I'm very sad that Takahiro Tomiyasu is no longer an Arsenal player. This is my ode to Tomi. Yo, I was 7 when I first saw you play, number 18 on the pitch, taking trouble away. Cool like the breeze, calm on the ball, right foot, left foot, you could do it all. You weren't loud, nah, you kept it serene. But you shut things down like a defensive machine. From Japan to North London, you made that climb. At school, I drew your name, line by line. Tried a Tomi slide on the blacktop track, snapped my toe, still didn't look back. Mom just sighed. He's lost the plot. But I said, Tomi gave it all he got. Your legs gave out, but your heart played through. Too many bruises that the world never knew. You walked off silent, no drama, no roar, no goodbye post, just a closed red door. To me, you're still a boss, still brave in the fights, even if you never lace your boots under the Emirates lights. So this one's for Tomi, the first in my crew, my hero in boots, with a samurai view. Peace out, Tomi. Stay strong, stay true. From one little gooner who still looks up to you.
And that's a wrap on the 3rd episode of the Late Kickoff, the only visual comedy podcast where Arsenal history gets a standing ovation, mostly from me and my imaginary friends. This episode starred yours truly, Jim Martin, with my wife, Ingrid Yoon, providing moral support, tactical wisdom, and deeply unimpressed sighs. Featuring the journalistic stylings of my kids, Ella Martin Yoon and Odin Martin Yoon, reporting live from the news desk and the interview living room, and tonight's special guests, Gooners, Amina, Clarke, and TC Dyer, along with Arsenal new boy, Martin Zubimendi, all portrayed with reverence and exactly one eyebrow raised. Written, produced, edited, animated in our minds, and voiced by Jim Martin and Ingrid Yoon. A Late Kickoff Studios LLC production.
All characters, storylines, jokes, jabs, and tactical takedowns are works of fiction and parody. Any resemblance to real players, managers, pundits, or ex-Spurs defenders is purely intentional and protected under California and U.S. law, including the Fair Use Doctrine, copyright and trademark statutes, and general comedy immunity. A portion of profits from episodes featuring fictionalized versions of living Arsenal employees, current or former, are donated to the Arsenal Foundation because we believe in giving back given that Arsenal gives us so much. Fair is fair. If you liked what you heard, subscribe. If you didn't, blame VAR. This has been The Late Kickoff with Jim Martin. Good night from inside the VIP lounge of the Emirates Stadium.